He's got to be the last person you want your team when you're chasing points.
A little dodgy call where they should have gone the video ref there, ended up costing the game.
If that was a forward pass, I'll bungee jump with no rope.
You basically can only beat who you have in front of you, so yeah, I think that's awesome.
And they're doing that, so good luck to them.
Crowd is ready, players are ready, referee says go.
Welcome to the most must-see NRL podcast. Welcome to...
the NRL Point of Difference.
I'm Rago.
And I'm Preety. And on this week's episode of the NRL Point of Difference, there's one more week until finals, so we'll discuss some of the issues surrounding that. Very exciting time in rugby league. The Dogs Overhaul trialled rule changes in the final week of the NRL Premiership season. Issues with pausing the game when a player is injured. Panthers minor premiers, and discussion on teams resting players. It's been a bit controversial the last couple of days, so you'll get our thoughts on that. So, Rago, your highlight on last week's round of rugby league.
The highlight? Geez, not even introductory. Okay.
That is introduction, isn't it?
Right.
What you go? What's your introduction?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to talk about Panthers to start off with, saying that they've beaten the Cowboys and they're now at 14 wins and they're the first minor premiers since 2013 who haven't been the Roosters or Melbourne. So it's
a breath of fresh air,
yeah,
isn't it?
Finally. About time that we get a bit of change. And that's also a fun fact for you Penrith fans out here that they've actually won the minor premiership. Sorry, the years they've won the minor premiership back in 2003 and 1991, they ended up going on to win the competition that year. So
both those years. So
yeah.
Good omen for Lassu. He'd be happy with that one.
Yeah, that guy always comments. He didn't comment this week, which is interesting.
Oh, maybe we've answered all his queries. Hopefully he's still listening.
Maybe he didn't actually listen last week because he's so fed up. But we've actually got another query as well. But back on the Panthers, we noticed that in their defence in the last 8 weeks, so I know they've been scoring quite a few tries, and Kikau and Lee Munn have been on fire at the moment. But you got to look at their defence. They've actually only in the last 8 weeks only conceded on average 10 points a game. So that's actually premiership winning defence right there if they can keep that up. And the next better team conceded 30 points better. So meaning that Penrith have basically been the best defensive side in the last 8 weeks.
Points.
Yeah, by 30 points, yeah.
Wow. So, yeah, you're right. The defence kind of goes unnoticed because their attack the last month or 2 months has been pretty spectacular. So they've got all bases covered, it looks like.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go against Parramatta. I know I made the bold prediction saying that they'll probably lose to Parramatta in that first week, but who knows where I'm going with those predictions. It doesn't seem to be paying off for me at the moment. I don't think I've gotten one single prediction.
They might not even play Para. Who knows what's going to happen this last round? But we'll discuss that later on in this pod. So we had a comment on the YouTube page from last week's episode from Eric the Eel.
Gee, he must be. I wonder who he supports.
I thought he was still swimming that league in the 2000 Olympics. Do you remember that? Did you watch the Olympics?
No, I can't say.
There was this Eric the Eel swimmer. He was from one of the African countries. I can't remember, but
Africa's a big place.
He came last by about 3 laps, and it took him an extra 10 minutes to swim his league.
Well, that's a true depiction of the Parramatta of late, at least in the last 10 years or so. At least since 2009. I mean, they've been okay in the last 5 years, but since 2009, and there was a gap there when they didn't even make the 8. I think 2016 was when they made the 8, so there was a period for 7 years. So yeah, that might have been a true depiction of Parramatta during that period. Well, anyway,
we'll give Eric the Eel some light, even though he's called us flogs, but we can handle that, can't we? We can handle anything on this show. He goes, I don't understand why you flogs keep bagging the mighty Eels. Every other championship team has a few losses before the finals as well, so what makes us any different? Well, Eric, the reason I think you guys are different to other teams is because your losses are more than just losses by a few points. You're not even in the game. You're not even close to winning. So that's the reason that I feel that you guys are no longer premiership contenders. The losses you suffered, they're not just, you're not in the contest where you can say, oh, we were close to winning, we'll get him in the finals. I don't see how you can beat those teams you lost to in the finals. What do you think?
Well, last week we didn't actually bag them. I think we just pointed out their weaknesses, that they actually can be a premiership winning team in a few years if they keep this up and recruit well.
A few years.
Well, no, I'm saying like maybe even next year if they build.
So you're ruling them out this year.
I'm ruling them out this year to win the comp.
Yeah.
I just think their performances, if they can get back to that firing power they had at the start of the year, yes. But it's just in their forms of like. I think there was a 6-week period where they just were barely scratching onto a couple of wins, and that was pitified when they versed the Cronulla Sharks and just won on goal kicking, and then the week after they lost to St George. So their form has been absolutely average at best in most recent weeks. They had a good win against Brisbane, but to be honest, a reserve grade team could beat Brisbane at this point. They're not playing the best.
Do you think their form is themselves to blame, or do you think other teams have started to work out their attack?
Yeah, I think it comes down to their attack at the end of the day. It's just not clicking, and I don't think their wingers are making an impact, as we mentioned last week. And I think Gutherson is the key for their attack. But again, their one try is very predictable and easy to defend, and against those top teams, I just don't see them beating them, especially Melbourne and Roosters and even Penrith at the moment.
They just don't look like they're working for each other. You watch teams like Roosters, Storm, even Souths with their backline sweeping plays, and their attack close to the line is pretty hard to stop. Everyone's working for each other. They've got decoys. Everyone has a role to play, in each set. But watching Parramatta against Brisbane, it just looks like they all want to score a try, and no one's doing the 1%ers to let their teammate score a try, or to run a block, or to decoy, things like that. They're just not doing to get to better the team.
Yeah, and when I said that in a couple of years they may win a premiership, I think they've got to look at Moses, and he needs to lift his game and get better game management there. And unless his partner is a 10 out of 10 star, it will be probably difficult for them to kind of push for that premiership, because at the end of the day, there's only one team that can win it. I mean, you can be competitive and get the top 4, but at the end of the day, the best team usually wins at the end of the season. So it's going to be interesting to see how they develop, and I think it comes down to the recruitment, as I just said. They will need to kind of look at where their weaknesses are and not spend too much money on overpriced players and like they did in the past. And I think what they've got at the moment is a very good mixture of players in their playing. So I think their highest paid player is about $850,000, and you compare that to teams like St George and even Titans, where they've kind of had those marquee players and they're paying ridiculous overs for those marquee positions. And I think Parramatta are doing that really well at the moment. They've recruited really well in the last 5 years, and I think that's reflected in their performances. Well,
you got to remember to give Eric and Parramatta some credit. They are without Dylan Brown, so any team without their 5'8" is going to struggle. And Parramatta have missed him, and I think they'll be better for the run when he comes back. So, I hope for your sake they can prove us wrong, but I just don't see it. But time will tell, Eric, and good luck.
All right, well, now back on track. You mentioned my highs this week. I think you can't look past the Orbison double on his 303rd game this week, and he's been a one-club man, which is a very rare oddity, especially at the Roosters, where they kind of are just a use and abuse kind of team, where they get the best out of players and then move them on. I think he's taken over Minicello and Luke Rickerson, who have subsequently been one-club man as well. Rickerson played for someone else, I think. Maybe not.
No, I don't think he did.
He didn't?
No.
I swear I could have. Anyway, doesn't matter.
I'll look that up while you continue talking about Orbison.
But yeah, I mean, to get the double on his debut was to seal it off, and I think a great celebration for him. You can't really say that about too many people who have played 300 games for the one club. I think there's so confirmation that Luke Rickerson definitely is a one-club man, and I guess it's possible if he's played 301 games for the one team. So
yeah, pretty hard to play for someone else, unless it was only a short period of time. But Orbison, it was a true testament, very fitting for him to finish that game in style with 2 tries, and you could see how popular he is in the club. The whole team just loves him. They all got around him. No one has a bad word to say about Orbison, whether it's a player, a coach, a person working within the club. Everyone in the media, they just love him. They think he's just a very humble, modest kind of guy, and and does a lot off the field as well. So
Well, he
good on
announced
him.
he announced his retirement this year, but I think he could easily go on a year or two, especially if he went to England. But I guess sometimes the mental toll takes its.
I am worried about his final series because they've got Williams at full strength. Well, I'm worried he's not going to get a game. Surely you can't leave out Mitchell Orbison, a guy who's been there 300 games in his last year.
I think he's the perfect number 14 player that you need in your team because he can basically play anywhere. Yeah. And I think in a grand final, if someone, like just say if they make the grand final or an important finals game, if someone in a key position goes down, he can easily slot in. He can basically play any position but wing on the back line. So he can even play a good 13
he'll play
at
wing.
one point. Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like...
Yeah, I can't see...
a lot of diversity.
I can't see Trent Robinson, after how he speaks about him, to leave him out of the team. I think Nat Butcher might be the person to go if they're at full strength.
But he's been great this year.
Who else do you leave out?
It's a tough one. That's what I mean about the Roosters. They've even got Radley and Verrills out, and they're still... Unless you get rid of the extra hooker on the bench, is Lussick still in the team? Yeah,
but I think I've included him haven't included him in the final 17 calculations. But yeah, look, I don't want to discredit Orbison, but the Roosters they're in a pretty good position, if you ask me, to be in the position to leave out one of their starts. So my highlight for the weekend was actually Ricky Stewart, which he's been in the media for the wrong reasons people are arguing, but I love this sort of stuff. So he came out and slams the bunker, or Graham Annesley, who's the head of football, saying he and Graham are planets apart in terms of their views on rugby league. So obviously they haven't seen eye to eye lately, and a lot of decisions being made by Graham, who oversees the bunker. But I think it's great. I think if he's not discrediting the integrity of the referees, then I don't see a problem with this kind of jib for jab.
Well, he actually got it fined, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Another one to add to it. He's probably racked up 200,000 by now.
I feel kind of sorry for him, but he knows that there's different ways to word certain things and avoid fines, and I think the smarter coaches do that. I know Trent Robinson and Bellamy are masters at doing that, where they bag out...
He can't hide his frustration, can he?
Yeah, he gets too emotional and worked up.
But I love that. I think... And often he's got legs to stand on, because the decisions that have been made against his team are often ridiculous, and I don't know how they can get it wrong. So I applaud Ricky Stewart for coming out and speaking his mind. It adds a bit of theatre, and I think all the fans love it. You see a side of a coach that you wouldn't see. They're not going to fabricate who they are. So I like a bit of emotion. Wear your heart on your sleeve.
Was there a specific call that led him to...
I think it was some offside, and there was a sin bin.
Oh, the Jack White. Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, but that was fair enough. Like,
and he threw his drink bottle out the window.
Yeah, okay. Now I know why he's going off. But that was ridiculous. Like, I think that was a justified call. I mean, in the other instance, we're discussing about... kind of YOLO was the bunker decisions, and that Jackson Paulo one, where it was obviously and they didn't choose to go to the bunker, was absolutely deplorable. And in an instance like that, I think that's cause for those kind of comments. But in the instance of that Canberra call, which was a fair and justifiable decision, I have no reason why he's blowing up, and I just don't think he needs to save those kind of comments for those really bad calls. I think
it does get a bit too much. Yeah. But you touched on it, so my low light was the bunker decisions on the weekend. In particular, there was two. One, both in the one game, actually. So the Jackson Paulo foot going out, I don't know what the touch he was doing. He was in a great position.
But when I saw that try, I said, I swear he went out.
Yeah, why did he put it down the way he did? He was over the line, and all he had to do was just put the ball on the ground, and he decided to dive in to make it look
I told you I don't rate him as a player.
Yeah, his last couple of weeks have been very ordinary, and he was actually dropped, but he's now retained his position because Stephen Masters, he was hooked on the weekend. Did you know that?
Yeah, I noticed that because I noticed he wasn't on the field. I said, where the hell is he?
He was just pulled for bad defence. So, which I like. Wayne Bennett has a standard.
That's fair
and
enough.
You'll uphold that. So yeah,
But
I respect it.
You're also missing James Roberts as well. I think
Yeah.
people keep on
And
forgetting
Braden
that.
Burns.
Yeah, and yeah.
And
So
Gago wasn't playing last week, so yeah, the back line has got some depth, but it's been tested of late. And another one in that game was the Jaden Sewer tackle. I'd love to get your opinion on this. So he was it wasn't for a shoulder charge. It was for just a front-on hit on Bulldogs halfback Lachlan Lewis, and he was sent to the sin bin after a ruling from the bunker. So I looked at it, and the original contact was shoulder to shoulder, but because of how forceful and how well timed the hit was, it was spectacular, mind you. And his head is flung back and then forward again, which then made contact with Jaden Sewer's shoulder. So the original contact was shoulder on shoulder.
yeah, but that's fair enough because in a different era, obviously that wouldn't even be remotely considered as a penalty, let alone a sin bin. But the thing is, he went in with the intention to make a shoulder charge in that tackle.
No, but he wasn't penalised for shoulder charge.
So it was contact to the head.
It was a careless high tackle.
It was a careless high tackle. But the thing is that the shoulder charge led to that careless high tackle.
But there's no mention of a shoulder charge. It wasn't a shoulder charge.
So what's the decision? It was a careless high tackle.
Because he made contact with the head.
But it was clearly a shoulder charge, was it not?
No.
It wasn't.
He was front on.
Yeah, but so what?
He's gone. He's wrapped his arms. His arms aren't wrapped around the tackler, but they're not by his side either. So it's front on, and he's just gone bang with the inside of his shoulder chest. Front on hit.
Okay, so he's got his arms out, but okay. I think I understand what you're saying. So you're saying that the shoulder contacted the head, but it wasn't officially a shoulder charge.
Yeah, but the shoulder only contacted the head because of the whiplash on the brute big hit.
But to be honest, Christian Lewis going off actually won Dogs the game, in my opinion.
Lachlan Lewis. Yeah,
sorry.
he sucks.
Well, it's not so much he sucks. His specialist is his kicking game, but he just doesn't do enough in attacking. He's very one out and basic, and he's definitely not the direction.
His kicking game is actually quite good.
Yeah, I mean, like it just seems like he's got all the time.
It's very unorthodox.
Yeah,
he looks a bit funny when he's kicking it, but it pays off for him. But what do you like? If the original contact with Jaden Sewer was to the shoulder on shoulder, shouldn't that be the end of story? The reason he got this concussed was because not only was it the whiplash that caused his head to come back and hit Sewer, but it was the contact on the ground.
Yeah, okay, fair enough in that instance.
So I don't actually know what the rule is. I'd love someone to tell me what the rule is on that.
But, okay, so the tackle was deemed illegal, was it not?
Yeah.
Okay, if the tackle was deemed illegal and it caused him to inadvertently, even if it is inadvertent, have a concussion, obviously, but taken off the game, then fair enough, it is a sin bin. Imagine,
what? That's ridiculous. Why should we punish players just because there's an injury?
Look, I'm going to explain this. So, imagine if some no-name reserve grader comes on, Jack Hetherington, just say, for example. I know he's prone to attacking people and being aggressive on the field. Imagine if he, in the grand final, first tackle of the game, just like does a shoulder charge and an aggressive hit on Keary and wipes Keary out of the game. Roosters are severely disadvantaged.
Yeah, but okay, that's illegal. Shoulder charge is illegal.
Okay, but that was an illegal tackle. It was ruled as an illegal tackle.
Yeah, but I'm arguing it's not.
It wasn't. You're saying it wasn't.
I'm just saying it was shoulder on shoulder.
Look, the tackle itself.
And I think that the game these days is if you're one of them now.
Look, okay,
if you are knocked out or you are injured from a tackle, why should the attacker be punished even if it isn't? They look for a reason. They think just because he's injured, he has to go off.
Okay, what I do agree with you here is that when you watch that live, yes, it doesn't look like anything bad happened. You think it was a massive hit, fair enough, fair play.
Yeah.
But you get the bunker involved and you slow it down and you kind of nitpick and you kind of see that in slow motion and you realise there was some sort of indiscretion that kind of led to him being hit in the head. And that's what I didn't like about it, the fact that they had to review it and then make the decision. If they just went about their day and just did on the live call, then fair enough, move on. But the fact that they had to narrow it down and find that illegal element in that tackle, that's what I didn't like. But there was probably an illegal element in that led to
the contact with the head from the whiplash. But I just want to know the rules. So if someone could point out whether no matter what there's contact to the head, it's illegal. But I just want to make it clear that the first contact was shoulder on shoulder. So yeah, I'm happy to be proven wrong, but just wanted to be shed some light on that issue.
All right, well, in regards to my lows, I think you can't go past the Trbojevic injury. So I mentioned that he's a 14-point player, even though I said that he could save 2 and then score 2, and somehow that adds up to being 14.
That's 16.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if you're taking into
Unconverted.
account, conversions, but...
Well, he's not converting them, so...
Yeah, okay, so it's probably 16 points then. So he's a 16-point player. And to be honest, he actually didn't even make a difference in that game after my prediction that he would. And I actually said Manly 13 plus, which ultimately failed. But his hamstring wasn't an issue in that game. He actually chased down an intercept by Corey Thompson, if I'm not mistaken. And you could see that he was quite unfit in the game, just in terms of match fitness. And I think just all around the park, Manly were pretty awful. It just seemed like it is pretty difficult. I know that they've had their starting fullback and 5'8" out for most of the year, and then they've obviously had injuries to Fanua Blake and to Powell at times, and they haven't been playing all year. But what do you think of the thoughts of Freddie Fittler coming out and saying that Trum Trbojevic is actually going to be fit, if he is fit for Origin, that he will be the first picked at centre?
Yeah, I agree with it. I think he is one of the first picked, if fit, which is what...
So you'd pick him. You'd pick him over Staggs and One as the centres.
No, I think it'd be Trbojevic and 1.
So you think those are going to be the... But
yeah.
Even after that performance that you saw from Tom on the weekend,
yeah,
it was absolutely awful.
God, people forget so quickly that he was man of the match in at least one of the games in last year's series.
Was that the one where Crichton shoved his fist in his face after he scored that try? Maybe
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was his first.
The one in Perth.
Yeah, okay. I think that was the one.
It was, and yes, he's had an average year, but by his standards, I mean, because he's been injured. But you take one game, he comes back, he has an average game, and then people think, oh, he shouldn't play centre. But he's one of the first. He's one of the better players in the competition when he's fully fit, and it'd be stupid not to have him in your team.
But okay, if you're picking the Origin team on form,
yeah, but you got to think about loyalty, and Fiddler's all about that. He's changed New South Wales culture in the short period of time he's been there. He's made a vow to pick players not just on form, but pick players who he knows he can rely on to do a job. And Trbojevic is one of those players.
Well, I guess that's worked for Queensland over the years. Where
exactly, that's what he's trying to follow, and it's working. But on form, yeah, you would go Katoni, but unfortunately, he's going to have to wait his time.
To be honest, like if you look at the Queensland centres and you look at kind of the variety that New South Wales have in terms of those centres.
How bad is that team?
Who would even be the centres for Queensland at the moment?
They're talking about Kurt Mann and Brenko Lee and Philip Sammy.
Oh my God.
They wouldn't even play first grade centre at most clubs.
Kurt Mann could get a run in most teams
Philip Sammy.
But he's definitely not. He hasn't played centre since the Melbourne days.
Brent Reid said Gerhamet Shabusky couldn't get a run.
Oh my God.
He's not even the fourth. He's like the fifth in line for Newcastle centre.
Yeah, I think
he's only playing because Bradman Best is injured.
I'm just thinking about the Queensland team. They, besides their spine, I think they'll really struggle in kind of filling those key positions. Even on the wing, who would you even have at this point? You'd have Holmes and
their back five is awful.
Holmes and Gagai, I guess, and then you'd have.
Well, I think Gagai's going to play centre now because of the short stock. And then did Felt get injured on the weekend because someone said he was ruled out for Origin, so he would have been on the wing. You think?
Yeah, I don't even know if he's at Origin quality. It's amazing because these players who would usually, if they were to get picked for New South Wales, would be absolutely awful. But if they get picked for Queensland, they somehow lift and have great games. Like you look at Gagai, he's not the best clubman, is he?
No.
But he always has a 10 out of 10 performance in Origin and always scores a sneaky intercept try every so often. But yeah, to be honest, for Trbojevic, as picked as a centre on form at the moment, I mean, I know he's been out. To be honest, I wouldn't do it. I just think it's too much of a risk, and he hasn't got any game time under his belt, and I think it would be a decision.
For a player of his quality, I don't think that matters. I think the only way he won't play Origin is if he chooses not to look after his body, which I wouldn't be against. But if he's fit and he wants to play, he will 100% be in the team.
Okay, well, I guess they also justify that decision. Remember with Johns when he came back, he didn't play a game all year, and then came back for New South Wales and absolutely tore up. And he set about 3 tries, scored one of his own, and an absolute blinder.
Only a few could do that, but Trbojevic is one of them. And we won't drag on too much about Origin. We'll have another topic on that
closer to the season.
Closer to the big game, the big try series. So
who's the player you can't fault this week?
you start with that.
I've got the Saifidi brothers. So
They both scored a try, didn't they?
they both scored a try. Both dominated the St George forward pack, got them on the back foot and making real good inroads in the middle. And I think they absolutely terrorised and showed why Newcastle are a legitimate top 8 contender this year. Because at the end of the day, the backs can only play off the forward pack. And if you got those Saifidis terrorising the middle, that's kind of all the hard work done. And then obviously you got the playmakers who can. One
of them will play. I don't want to play Origin again, but one of them will play Origin.
Yeah, David. David or Daniel?
Daniel. Potentially another one, but New South Wales are stocked for props this year, as are Queensland, to be honest. But my player you can't fault is Josh Jackson. That's hard to say quickly. Josh Jackson.
Was he 200th, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's 200th. He put absolutely everything into that game, and it was so good to see the Dogs play for him. He's been a great servant to that club. He saved 2 tries just by his determination and his strength. Cam Murray was all but certain to score, and not for Josh Jackson pulling him back by the jersey, just with everything he's got, and it was just good to see them get a win for him. And I think he really put forward a strong claim to play for Origin again. He's missed a couple of years, but he doesn't offer a whole lot in attack, but he's someone who's just so reliable. And I wasn't the biggest fan of him a couple of years ago when he was playing, but you can just rely on him to make his tackles, do a job on that edge, and I think you can't fault him.
He's like, he reminds me of Orbison in a way, that he's just that clubman that you need, just Mr. Reliable, like Cameron McGuinness or someone like Sutton is another example. John Sutton as well, like just one of those players that are in the team and just give their best week in, week out, and always are reliable.
Yeah, you can build a club around those sort of players.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't win a comp if you had 13 of them, but you would have a 10 out of 10 effort every week.
Yeah. So in the games this weekend that don't have any ramifications to the final series, so the the Cowboys Brisbane game, Manly Warriors, and a couple others, they'll be NRL's trying some new rules, so to better the game, make it more free flowing and good for the fans. So the bunker can now review the try and overturn the referee's decision. So prior to the conversion. So if they don't send it up, is that?
But I reckon that'd be really annoying. Like imagine getting a try, celebrating, supporting your team, saying yes, finally we're ahead, or it's a match-winning try, and then right before the conversion, they say, "Oh no, sorry, we reviewed it and it's no decision."
But it's just to get rid of the howler. But and the bunkers obviously failed at that already, so they need to review that process. So
what happens if the person's a sicko? Like he scores a try, quickly runs, and then kicks the goal, and then runs back. Can they do that?
Maybe they can say time off.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe they can't do a conversion to it. But it just defeats.
But you're right. It does. It will, after every try, even if it is given a try, you're still going to be thinking, oh, is it?
Yeah, I know. It would not be fun. To be honest, I'd rather just get it over and done with and review it.
And you know what? And I reckon if they're going to say it's going to be seamless, but I think after they keep on doing it, it's going to end up being a whole review every try, which is just ludicrous. You can't have that. And so there's 4 rules in total, so that's one of them. The next one is only forwards will be allowed to pack into scrums.
I like that.
Which I like, yeah. If we're going to have scrums, at least do them properly.
Yeah, and it stops people like, Dufty pack into the scrums and not being found out in defence. And those people need to be held liable in defence and have those big forwards thrown at them. So, yeah, I agree. Scrums, if they're going to do it, have to be forwards. And I don't know why there wasn't a rule to begin with.
And on scrums, the third one is a handover for kicks into touch rather than a scrum. So, I don't know. I think the jury's still out on this one for me. It will speed up the game.
I don't see a necessity in scrums to begin with.
But scrums, you can... They are an attacking weapon with the way how you can move them across the field. You can have them on the corner, in the middle, or the other corner. So, it does take away from that.
Okay, if a team's kicking and finds touch, and then there's a scrum pack down... Usually they'll be in a position where they're in their own in goal.
Yeah.
And there won't be really that much room to move in terms of...
Yeah, so they're not really going to do
exactly. So in that one I can understand.
It's just going to speed up the game.
Yeah. I think so. I think when there is a double knock on, obviously that's when a scrum would exist. That's fair enough because there's situations when people are attacking the line and there will be a double knock on, and then obviously there's the opportunity to go for an attacking set off the scrum. So, what do you think about that?
No, I think it's good. It will speed up the game, we're an entertainment business, so it can only enhance that reputation.
Well, the biggest change that they're trialling is that instead of doing a penalty for a 10-metre offside rule, they're going to do a 6 again. So that one's a bit weird because can you imagine sometimes a whole team can be offside, and are they going to then not be able to make the tackle? What happens then?
Yeah, you had to run through them, and then if you do make the tackle or stop the try, is that going to become a penalty?
Is there going to be a sin bin? More importantly, that's another one.
Yeah,
I think if you're right, if you're offside and then make the tackle, maybe that would be
a penalty.
No, it would be 6 again because then he'd make the tackle 6 again,
and
then it just play as goes normal. And if you run again at another offside player and they make the tackle,
but at what point would you always rather a 6 again, or do you want a penalty?
You'd rather a penalty, 100%, I think, because you can get 6 again and then lose the next play, and then obviously it's a turnover.
Yeah, and you gain no territory.
Yeah, I think the 6 again is definitely fasten up the game and the play style. But in terms of actual advantage to a team, I think you prefer a penalty without a doubt.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see just how it operates and how it works. So I guess they can work out the kinks and see what works and what doesn't work so they can move forward. But they've always been trialling this no scrum kind of rule for a while, and nothing really comes out of it. So I'm interested to see the 10-metre rule, see what happens there. But other than that, I think these other decisions probably can take a hike.
Yeah, well, I guess it's a good time to trial these new rules in games that don't mean much. So yeah, I applaud the NRL and I like it.
So Trent Barrett has taken over the Canterbury Bulldogs at the end of this year, and he's actually told 8 players to take a hike. So we've got Marcelo Montoya, we've got Holland, we've got Cogger, we've got Suolasa Su, Lafai, and Isaiah Tas. It's interesting. There's a lot of experience there. I know Tim Lafai, who's played actually
along with Foran and Tolman as well.
Oh yeah, Foran and Tolman. Sorry, yeah. I mean, I can totally understand those, and I think Foran has already been told to leave. Tolman, at the intro, he's the person we say, he's the last person you want with the ball. So I think
good riddance, Bulldogs fans will be saying.
He's a guaranteed tackle whenever he gets the ball.
So
he will do nothing.
Out of those players, who do you think would most likely get a run elsewhere? Who would be the quickest to be snapped up?
I think a team could get use out of Lafai. I know he's still got a bit of talent in him. I know he hasn't been playing the best football this year, and he actually hasn't played at all for St George past that COVID, the initial first 2 games, and then after the COVID break. But Cogger, I could see being of use at some clubs. I think he's got quite a bit of skills he can offer that would at least be useful for those teams at the bottom. Maybe he could be a good bench player at points. But other than that, I think it's a fair call by Trent Barrett to get rid of those players. They're not going to really do much, and it frees up a lot of space for them to make those good signings and get those different fringe players who
they're going to be actually worthwhile to their club. I think Lafai definitely will be snapped up. He's still a very handy player who can get his best football on the paddock. And I think Montoya, although he's not in the same class, everyone could always do with an outside back, and I think he won't have much trouble.
Yeah, I mean, most of these players are fringe players at best anyway. So I think hats off to Trent Barrett. It seems like he's making some good inroads. Like, he's not just inheriting a horrible roster. He actually wants to do something about it and make it his. Yeah. Which is fair enough. I mean, this Bulldogs team has struggled for quite a while. So, all right, hats off to him. Well, there was actually rumours of Moylan being offloaded by Cronulla, and a team I was thinking about that would be a great suit for him. I know he's been riddled with lingering injuries that have popped up, but I think Bulldogs could actually benefit using him. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't think so. I think although he's going to offer more points and more versatility in attack, and it's something different, but I really think Bulldogs need someone better than Moylan to guide them around the park. I don't think Moylan is the man to do that, and he won't change a whole lot at the Bulldogs. Moylan benefits off a player who is going to set up Moylan and give him the ball in good positions. I don't think Moylan is the type of player to go and do his own thing and get the ball and make a change for the game, for the team.
Not even at fullback? You could probably put Papawati at centre or wing and then put Moylan. I mean, at 5'8", I think his days are gone. I think if you're going to play Moylan, I think I would put him at fullback personally. At least that's what he was doing at Cronulla, was he not?
If his hamstring's all right.
Yeah, and that's the main issue at the moment. It is a risk in what he's doing. It's actually been rumoured to be put into the finals game against Canberra by Morris, which is interesting because I think he has a recovery of 4 to 6 weeks, and if he was to play, I think it would be. I'm just trying to think when he got injured.
Fourth week.
Fourth week, yeah. So he'd be relatively fresh off the injury. Yeah. So what would you do?
You can't rush those hamstrings.
I would risk the play. Like it's a one finals game. I think you got to rise to the occasion, and even if it's not.
But does John Morris have his best interest at heart? If he injures it again, it could be career threatening.
I don't think it's career threatening. I mean, he's got the whole offseason to recover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to take the risk, but because you've also got Sean Johnson, who's did his Achilles, so that could actually make a really big difference to his career next year, because it's really hard to come back from those Achilles injuries. I know those are kind of one of the hardest ones to rehab and just get right.
Well, Royce Hunt, yeah, he actually did his patella tendon, which apparently is one of the worst injuries to recover from in terms of you lose so much strength off the leg because it's got to be straight for a long period of time, and the recovery is very arduous. So good luck to both those players.
And also Dugan has also been taken off the field for a knee concern. I don't know if he actually got injured.
He was fine. He might be so weak, but yeah, he'll play.
You know what Dugan's like, yeah. But in that instance, so they got Royce Hunt and Johnson away. Yeah. I think you have to risk Moylan because there's too much talent off the park. So I think you'd have to risk it. I mean, even if it's not for his best interest, if he does get injured, then just pull him off, or he's not feeling right, and then you can obviously put Graham at 5'8". I mentioned Dugan with that knee complaint that he was down with. Did you like the decision there? So John Morris actually blew up and said that, why wasn't a play stopped? And I think Keary actually went down that wing and targeted and actually scored on that wing, and that's what kind of caused John Morris to blow up. But do you think that's fair enough? Like, you can't stop the game for every single little injury.
No, you can't. And especially when a lot of players are starting to milk it because they know the referee will stop it. I think you only milk the play... You only stop the play if there's a head injury, is what I am led to believe.
Yeah, but what about if, say, it's a broken neck, and then...
Obviously, if they're rolling around in absolute agony, then you stop the play, but...
I think
I don't know. It's a bit of a catch-22.
In what I would personally do as my rule is if the player is in the way of the play or could hinder some sort of attacking play or could, get involved and get hit in the head or, something what could be caused that would make his injury worse, I would then stop play. But if, in the instance of Dugan, he was down on the Roosters goal line and got injured, and play had gone way past that. And I know Dugan obviously wasn't in the defensive line and couldn't defend, but surely they can defend one set with 12 men. Like,
teams... They can barely defend with 13, let alone 12.
Well, exactly. Like, that trial is probably going to happen inevitably, even if Dugan was on the field. So you can definitely cover the field, even if it's for one set. And until you get the ball, just hold on. It's like that 7-tackle set that happened with that Cowboys-Sharks game. Like, they were complaining and whinging about how it happened. But at the end of the day, Cowboys should have defended it. And now our weekly segment, Pass or Play. Hit it, Mr. Voss.
That's a sloppy pass, that one.
All right, well, this one...
Pass or play or pass or run? For crying out loud, it's pass or run.
Pass or play sounds nice because it's PP.
Oh my, I said it originally and then you abused me for saying pass or play. Yeah, I can't win here, guys.
Look, the segment should be pass or play, but actually the process of playing should be running, is what I'm saying. So playing is running, I would say.
Okay, all right.
So, but the segment is called pass or play. I think I'm saying
playing is running, you idiot.
Playing is running. Yeah, that's what I said.
You said passing, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, anyway.
I don't know, maybe. Right. I always say that.
Hit me with it.
Okay, we've got here numerous top 8 sides are resting their players. Now, are you passing or running on the fact that clubs are resting their players, but right before finals?
I'm running it. I like it in some instances. I'll go into depth, but for the Raiders, for instance, they will most likely finish fifth. But if they beat Sharks, but if Parramatta lose to the Tigers, which could very easily happen, they could come fourth. So by resting their players, they're actually foregoing the opportunity to come fourth, which may seem ludicrous, but I actually agree with Ricky Stewart's rationale if that's what he's doing. Because I think Ricky can see that he's got an easier run of the finals if he comes fifth. So they'll play the Sharks, then they'll most likely play the loser of Penrith and Parramatta, which will probably be Parramatta. That's two of the easiest teams in the top 8. Then who knows if they're on a roll.
And then obviously they have to verse one of the other teams in the prelim. But yeah, I can see the good side of the rationale behind why he wouldn't want to be pushing for that top 4 spot.
And also he'll probably play Sharks twice in a row, right? So if you're Canberra and you've got nothing really to lose for this game, why would you want to play all your cards in the first week when it doesn't mean anything?
Yeah, well, we've got that theory saying that if you verse each other in the last round before you verse in finals and then you meet in finals back to back, the team that wins the first week usually loses in the game of the finals.
Yeah, well, he must like that theory then, Ricky Stewart.
I think Ricky Stewart knows about that. But no, it's fair enough. In that instance, if Canberra are going to come fifth, and obviously the decision to come fifth or fourth is out of their control, they obviously need to rely on Parramatta to lose against Tigers. So I can see why they're doing it. And if they are going to win 4 games in a row and go in and win a premiership, they'll need to rest those key players such as Whiten and Jack Williams, just so they can get a little rest and just be prepped for the finals and those big collisions that are going to inevitably happen. So, and look, at the end of the day, these clubs are in that position to make those decisions to rest the players. So
exactly.
They've earned that right.
They've had no buys at all this year as well, so the players will need a rest. And you hit the nail on the head. If you're in a position, if you've done well enough throughout the season to warrant a rest and to be able to, you can afford to lose a game, then good on you. So be it. Well, I commend you. I agree with it.
Paul Kent was basically saying that it's robbing the broadcasters of the great games. That,
I did listen to that.
But to be honest, this week, can you think of one game that would actually matter in the scheme of things?
No, and that's what Paul Corley's argument was. He goes, it was hard to sell last week, so this week's going to be even harder to sell to the public. So I don't think it's going to matter whether the Stars are playing or not.
And also another thing is that these young players who haven't been playing these reserve grade games, because with these COVID restrictions, obviously New South Wales Cup and Toyota Cup and the under-20s haven't been able to play. So these young players who have been sitting on the sidelines all year are finally given an opportunity to play and just show what they're made of. And impress. So in doing that, I mean, they've got Jaden Sullivan. I think that St George whole back line, it's completely full of Dragons juniors. You got Melbourne team. You got Cooper Johns given another run to see if he's really made up for the first
It's exciting for the younger players to get a run, and they'll be so enthusiastic. They want to prove to their coach and to the wider NRL community that they're up to first grade. So they're going to be trying their guts out. So I think we're going to see some exciting rugby league still.
Well, Roosters have done an interesting tactic. So they rested key players over a 2-week period. Last week they did Tedesco, Jake Friend, and Cordner.
They've done it for the last month, or even longer, I think. Every now and then there's a player getting rested.
I think what Roosters are doing is the smartest thing. Penrith are doing is a bit questionable. I think they're resting Kikau, Crichton, and Edwards. Yeah. But they're still playing Keary, Coruscant, and now using Mitch Kenny as their hooker, their backup hooker.
I think for Penrith are different because they've got a really young side and they're just playing on the back of momentum. And I think if you're gonna play with that, you could damage that momentum that they've got by taking a few players out. And the young players, they're not as fatigued as what those players in Storm and Roosters are, and they just want to keep playing. So okay. I agree with that decision as well.
You look at Parramatta's team, and they've pretty much named the strongest team possible, but if Raiders lose that game against Cronulla, I know they play the 5:30 game and then Parramatta play the backup. Would you rest those players, just put them in on the extended bench, or put them on the bench and just not play them, or what would you do there?
For Penrith?
No, for Parramatta. So Parramatta...
Oh, well, it won't mean much.
Yeah, because even if they lose, it doesn't matter.
No, Parramatta have got to play with their side because they can't afford to... They can afford to lose, but they can't afford to play like bastards. They have to get their rhythm back and their click and attack, and they can't do that with their players on the sideline. They've got to get their rhythm back and momentum.
That's fair enough, and I think they need to play themselves into form
Yeah.
like they did against Broncos, and then obviously if they can get a win against Tigers, they can build that momentum block moving on against Penrith. But yeah, it should be interesting. What about bold predictions this week?
Well, last week was a bit of a shocker from both of us. I went for a very hothead move, and it backfired massively. So this week, I'm gonna not saying it's that bold, but I think the Raiders are going to tank the game.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, but that's fair enough.
I'd be loading up on the Shark because I can't see the Raiders winning that. I don't think they want to win that.
I think Sharks are actually the favourites, but who are they actually missing in that game? They've got
Who? Raiders?
No, Raiders. They're missing. I'm just trying to think. They've got Croker,
Rapana,
Bateman,
Williams, Tarpany,
Papali as well. And did you say one?
Yeah.
And Williams. Yeah, and then they've got
their back five is
Costa.
actually the youngest ever back five to play. I don't know, something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It'll be exciting to see. I don't mind seeing these young players give a go because they always try and impress. And I mean, I know they don't give the best in defence, those young players, but it will be exciting just to see their attacking ability. And I know that's what they're all about, those young boys.
So what's your?
So you're saying Raiders to actually get ransacked?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, fair enough. So are you saying 13 plus or?
Yeah, 20 plus.
20 plus, jeez. That's a bit excessive. Okay, 20 plus, all right. My prediction, I'm going to say Titans actually upset the Newcastle Knights. I think what Titans have been doing these last couple of weeks, I think they've in the past 8 weeks, I think I posted the ladder of the last 8 weeks in the on the Facebook group, and they'll actually come in 7th, and rightly so. They've been playing fantastic the last 8 weeks. And Newcastle, I mean, I know they had a good form against the Dragons and played well, and they put close to 40 points on. But as Dean Young put it, mildly, the Dragons couldn't even beat the Dapto under 8s against that team. So,
well, they're playing against the Storm reserve grade, third string.
Yeah, well,
so
I still, to be honest, I think still Melbourne will probably win that game. But my bold prediction will be the Titans upset Newcastle Knights.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. And I'm going to add to mine and say the Tigers are going to beat the Eels.
Jeez. On Marshall's
Benji's 300 and Lawrence's last game.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's probably not Marshall's.
Sorry, Eric the Eel. He'll be happy with that one. I'll get called a flog again.
Yeah, he'll leave another abusive message on our.
If I'm wrong, buddy, prove me wrong. All right, that's all we've got time for again on this week's episode. So we hope you enjoy the podcast and enjoy your rugby league this weekend. I'm sure we will in the last round before the finals. A little curtain raiser to what we've all been waiting for.
And make sure to leave more comments.